The accidental discovery. The human exploration fleet was never meant to find anything this far from home. They had left Earth years ago with orders to map unknown stars, search for habitable worlds, and extend the fragile reach of human presence into deep space. The fleet was small, only a handful of ships, and none of them were built for war. Their mission was science, not conquest. Yet destiny had other plans for them. The silence of space stretched around them like a great dark ocean. Day after day they passed barren planets, lifeless rocks, and empty stretches where stars were nothing but distant points of light. The crew grew used to the quiet. Most of them thought this journey would be uneventful, another routine mission. But then the signals began. It started as faint whispers on their communication screens, strange frequencies that no human device should have produced. At first the engineers thought it was interference, perhaps radiation from a nearby star, but the signals grew stronger and more complex. There were patterns in the noise, rhythms that carried meaning. One of the scientists, Dr. Morgan, leaned over her console and froze. "This is language," she whispered. The words seemed alien, but the structure was undeniable. Someone or something was speaking. The fleet commander, Captain Hale, ordered the crew to trace the origin. What they found shocked them all. Ahead of their path was not another dead world, but a colossal structure orbiting a golden star. It was a station, larger than any city on Earth. Lights ran across its surface like rivers of fire. Ships, massive and endless, moved in and out of its docks. The humans stared in silence. Their mission was exploration, yet they had stumbled upon something far greater. This was not a lonely station. This was the center of power. The closer they came, the more they realized the scale of what they had found. A fleet of alien vessels patrolled the area. Their hulls were sleek, glowing with symbols that pulsed like living veins. They moved with precision, their formation tight and disciplined. The humans knew at once that this was no scattered group of wanderers. This was an empire. "Captain," a young officer whispered, his voice tight with fear. "They've seen us." And they had. The alien ships turned in unison, their weapons glowing faintly, though not yet firing. A deep voice thundered across every human channel, translated instantly by their computers. "You are intruding in the sovereign space of the Galactic Empire. Identify yourselves. Power down your engines and prepare for judgment." The humans exchanged looks of disbelief. Galactic Empire. The words echoed like thunder. It sounded like something out of old science fiction tales, yet here it was, real and undeniable. For a moment, silence held the human fleet. They had no weapons that could match the alien firepower. They had no allies out here, no reinforcements. By all logic, fear should have ruled their hearts, but it did not. Instead, quiet laughter began to spread through the human ships. At first it was nervous, a release of tension in the face of impossible odds. But then it grew louder, stronger, until the sound of human laughter filled the channels. The crew of every ship was laughing, not out of madness, but out of something deeper. The aliens were confused. On the other side of the transmission, silence reigned. The Empire expected fear, cries of surrender, or desperate bargaining. They had crushed countless species before, and all had bowed. But this new race was laughing at them. Captain Hale smiled as he leaned back in his chair. His voice was calm, steady, and filled with quiet amusement. "So this is the great empire," he said. "We found you by accident, and already you sound like bullies in a schoolyard." The crew chuckled again, and the tension in their hearts loosened. They were still in danger, surrounded by a force beyond their measure. But something about the arrogance of the aliens sparked not terror, but defiance. Humanity had faced impossible odds before. They had lived through wars, disasters, and extinction threats. They had always survived, and sometimes survival meant finding humor even when staring death in the face. The aliens did not understand. To them, laughter was an insult, a rejection of fear. The commander of the alien patrol barked another order. "Silence. You are primitives who trespass in the heart of the Empire. You will kneel before judgment or be destroyed." But the humans only laughed harder. Their laughter echoed across the void, a sound the Empire had never heard before. And in that laughter was a promise. They were not afraid. The alien fleet moved closer, their weapons glowing brighter. The humans watched with calm eyes. Some smiled, others whispered jokes to one another. To the Empire, this was madness. To humanity, this was strength. For the first time in its long history, the Galactic Empire faced a species that would not bow, would not break, and would not give them the satisfaction of fear. And though the humans had only stumbled into this encounter by chance, it was clear to all who witnessed it that fate had changed. Something had begun. A small fleet from Earth had found an empire that ruled the stars. And instead of trembling, they laughed. The stage was set, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Empire's arrogance. The Galactic Empire had ruled for thousands of years. It was not a single world or a handful of colonies. It was thousands of systems, hundreds of species, all bound together under one iron command. Its fleets were unmatched. Its stations larger than continents, its armies stretching farther than any horizon. To the Empire, the universe itself felt conquered. They believed no one could resist them. When the human ships appeared, the Empire saw nothing more than intruders. To them, Earth was an unknown name, a small dot among countless stars, a primitive world that had dared to wander where it did not belong. The alien commanders did not see explorers. They saw prey. Inside the great station that humans had discovered, the alien overseers gathered to discuss the incident. Their forms were tall, draped in robes of gold and black with crowns of light that shimmered around their heads. Their voices were calm, but their eyes burned with anger. "They laugh at us," one of the overseers hissed. "They mock the Empire as if we are nothing." Another overseer raised his hand. His skin glowed faintly, his voice sharp. "Let them laugh. The weaker races often do before they kneel. When we break their fleets, they will understand their place." The chamber filled with agreement. For the overseers, this was routine. They had faced rebellions before. They had crushed proud species who believed they could resist. None had lasted long. The Empire had a way of taking what it wanted and silencing those who dared to stand. But humanity was different. Out in the void, the small fleet of human ships kept their engines steady. They did not run. They did not fire. They waited, surrounded by alien warships, and still they carried laughter in their voices. Captain Hale listened as the alien commander sent another transmission. The voice was loud, booming, and filled with superiority. "Humans of Earth, you are nothing but children who play in the dark. You have no armies, no empires, no strength. The Galactic Empire spans 1,000 years. We decide who lives and who is forgotten. You are already forgotten." His words were meant to crush hope. To the humans, they sounded like an arrogant speech written long ago and repeated to every conquered race. Commander Ruiz, second in command of Hale's ship, leaned back in her chair and smirked. "Do they ever get tired of repeating themselves?" The bridge crew chuckled, soft at first, then louder. The alien voice continued. But the humans were no longer listening. Their laughter drowned out the Empire's threats. For the aliens, this reaction was unthinkable. They expected trembling fear and desperate apologies. Instead, they received mockery. The alien commander demanded silence again, his voice rising with fury. "You dare laugh at the Eternal Empire? You dare mock what rules the stars?" Hale responded with a calm tone, his voice steady. "You call yourself eternal. You call yourself rulers of the stars, yet you sound so fragile. If laughter shakes you, what will battle do?" The humans erupted into more laughter, and the sound carried across every channel. The aliens were shaken, not because humans had great weapons. No one in the Empire believed these small ships could fight, but because humans were different. Every other race had broken under fear. Humanity did not. The Empire tried another tactic. Instead of threats, they sent images. Across the screens of the human fleet appeared vast cities floating in space, armies of alien soldiers standing in endless lines, fleets that filled entire star systems. The message was simple: submit or die. But the humans looked at the images and grinned. One young officer muttered, "Looks like someone's showing off their toy collection." Laughter filled the bridge again. The aliens were furious. For the first time in centuries, their intimidation failed. Inside the alien station, the overseers debated again. "They are mad," one said. "No sane species mocks the Empire." "No," another replied, frowning. "This is not madness. This is defiance. They believe in something we do not understand." And that was true. Humanity had always been strange. They had faced wars that destroyed cities, plagues that wiped out millions, disasters that should have ended them. Yet they endured. They did not bow to fear. They found ways to laugh through it. Now that same spirit faced the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Captain Hale turned to his crew and spoke quietly. "They think we are weak, let them. The more they underestimate us, the stronger we become." The humans nodded. Their laughter was not reckless. It was a weapon. A shield against fear, a way to remind themselves that they were still in control even when surrounded. The Empire, however, saw only arrogance. The overseers agreed to send a warning shot. One of the alien warships moved forward, its weapons glowing like molten suns. A beam of light cut across space, passing close to the human fleet but not striking. It was meant to terrify, but once again the humans laughed. "Was that supposed to scare us?" Ruiz said with a grin. "I've seen fireworks on Earth scarier than that." The humans roared with amusement. The alien commander froze. His orders had failed. His warning had failed. And now doubt began to spread, small and quiet, among his crew. What kind of species laughs in the face of an empire? What kind of species treats death like a joke? The answer was simple. Humans, and the Empire in all its arrogance had no idea what they had just awakened. The human answer, the alien commander, had gone silent. His threats and warnings had met only laughter, and that silence now felt heavier than the stars around them. For the first time in centuries, the Empire did not know how to respond. Inside the bridge of the lead human ship, the laughter faded into quiet. The crew waited for Captain Hale to speak. He sat calmly in his chair, eyes fixed on the glowing alien fleet. He had fought in human wars before, wars where the enemy outnumbered them, where defeat seemed certain. He had learned one truth: fear feeds the enemy, but laughter takes it away. He touched the comm switch, his voice steady. "To the commander of the so-called Galactic Empire," Hale said, his tone sharp but calm. "You claim we are children. You claim your empire rules the stars. Yet your voice trembles because we laugh at you. That is not strength. That is weakness." The humans on the bridge grinned. His words were not shouted, not angry. They were simple, and they cut deep. The alien commander replied with fury. "You dare compare us to weakness? We have crushed thousands of races. We have burned worlds that stood against us. We are the eternal empire." Hale's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Then you are nothing more than a bully who needs others to kneel before him." The bridge crew laughed again, louder this time. Even the younger officers who had been afraid minutes ago joined in. Their laughter carried across the channel, echoing like a storm in the quiet of space. For the aliens, this was an insult beyond measure. But for the humans, it was a reminder that they had not lost their spirit. Dr. Morgan, still seated at her console, leaned toward Hale. Her voice was low, but her eyes were sharp. "They don't understand us, Captain. They think fear is universal. They don't know that humans can turn fear into something else." Hale nodded slowly. "Exactly. They've never faced a species like us." On the alien station, the overseers listened to every word, their faces twisted with rage. But beneath their fury, something colder stirred. Doubt. If humans were weak, why did they laugh? If they were helpless, why did their captain sound so calm? One overseer hissed, "They are insane." Another shook his head. "No, they are dangerous." Back on the human ships, the crew began speaking freely now. They joked about the Empire's grand speeches, compared the alien warships to overdecorated statues, and mocked their endless threats. The more they spoke, the less fear remained in their hearts. Commander Ruiz leaned back in her chair. "If they think this is going to break us, they've never met a human in a bar fight." The crew chuckled again. Even in the face of overwhelming power, they found strength in humor. The alien commander could no longer contain his fury. His voice thundered across the channel. "Enough. You will kneel or be destroyed. This is your last warning." Hale stood from his chair. His voice was quiet, but each word carried like iron. "We don't kneel. Not to you. Not to anyone. If you want to test us, fire your weapons. But know this, humans don't fear death. We've looked death in the eye for centuries and laughed at it. Just like we laugh at you now." The silence that followed was deafening. The alien crew, listening to their commander's channel, shifted uneasily. They had seen fear before. They had seen rebellion, but never had they seen a species laugh at the shadow of death. Hale lowered his hand from the comm and looked around at his crew. "They think we are weak. They think laughter is foolishness. But every laugh they hear reminds them that they don't control us," Morgan whispered. "What if they fire, Captain?" He met her eyes, calm and steady. "Then they'll learn the truth." Out in the dark, the human fleet held formation. Their ships were small, fragile compared to the Empire's massive warships. But in their silence, in their laughter, there was something more powerful than any weapon. There was defiance. The Empire had demanded fear and humanity had given them mockery. It was not the answer the aliens expected. It was not the answer they understood. But it was the human answer. And in that moment something shifted. The overseers on the station leaned forward, their eyes narrow, their thoughts uneasy. For the first time they wondered if their empire, eternal and unchallenged, might have finally met a race that would not break. The human fleet waited, engines glowing softly in the darkness, surrounded but unbowed. Their answer had been given, and the Empire now had a choice: crush them, or face what it meant to fight a species that laughed in the face of doom. Either way, the galaxy would remember this day. The hidden strength. The alien fleet surrounded the humans like wolves circling prey. Their ships were vast, sharp-edged, covered in glowing veins of energy. To any other species, this sight alone would have brought surrender. Yet the humans did not move, did not flinch. Their laughter had already shaken the Empire, but now something even more dangerous stirred behind the calm faces of the explorers. Captain Hale sat quietly in his chair. He had allowed his crew to laugh because laughter was a shield. But now he leaned forward, his voice low. "They think we are cornered," he said. "Let them. The time for words is almost over." Commander Ruiz gave him a sharp look. She knew what he meant, but the younger officers did not. To them, the fleet they had brought seemed small, fragile against the Empire's overwhelming power. But Ruiz, Hale, and a handful of others knew the truth. The exploration fleet was not alone. Far beyond the Golden Star, hidden in the shadows of a nebula, waited something larger. Something stronger. A fleet that did not belong to science vessels or exploration cruisers, but to humanity's war machines. Back on the alien station, the overseers pressed their hands against the glowing tables, their voices rising in debate. "Crush them now," one said. "Show the galaxy what happens to those who mock us." "No," another replied. His eyes were cold, uneasy. "Something is wrong. No weak species laughs in the face of death. They hide something." But arrogance still ruled the chamber. The Empire had never lost, and pride was more blinding than fear. "There is nothing they can hide that we cannot burn," an overseer spat. The order went out. The alien commander prepared his ships to fire. Weapons charged, glowing like molten suns. The human fleet seemed small, almost pitiful against that storm of power. Yet Hale only leaned back, watching calmly. "Captain," Dr. Morgan whispered. "If they fire..." "They won't," Hale said softly. "Not yet. They want us to beg. But we're done with begging." He raised his hand, signaling Ruiz. She nodded and activated a secure channel, one the aliens could not intercept. Her voice was sharp and steady. "Signal the fleet. It's time." From the shadows of the nebula, engines roared to life. At first, only a faint glow appeared among the distant stars, small enough to be mistaken for natural light. Then more lights appeared, dozens. Hundreds. A wave of fire rising from the dark. The alien patrols turned their sensors outward, and what they saw froze them. A human war fleet was emerging, larger than anything the Empire had expected. Battleships with hulls of black steel, carriers with wings of fighters ready to launch, cruisers armed with weapons designed not for intimidation, but for survival. The exploration fleet had been the bait. The laughter had been the signal. On the alien station, overseers rose to their feet, their robes shimmering. For the first time, silence filled the chamber. They had expected primitives. Instead, they were staring at a species that had prepared for war long before this encounter. The alien commander's voice faltered as he tried to issue orders. This cannot be. Their world is young. Their fleet should not..." He trailed off, staring at the screens. Hale opened the channel again, his voice calm. "You thought we were explorers. You thought we were children lost in the dark. But we are human. And humanity never walks alone." Behind his words, the human fleet stretched into the distance, ships emerging one after another like predators revealing themselves after a long hunt. The laughter that had confused the aliens now made sense. It had not been madness. It had been confidence. On the bridge of the lead alien ship, officers looked to their commander, fear in their eyes. "They are not what we thought," one whispered. The commander clenched his fists. "They are still nothing compared to the Empire." Yet even he did not believe his own words. Inside the human ships, tension mixed with determination. Pilots strapped into their fighters, Marines checked their weapons, engineers stabilized reactors. Humanity had faced extinction many times before. They knew how to fight, how to endure, how to survive against impossible odds. And this time they were not laughing for humor alone. They were laughing because they knew the Empire had underestimated them. Dr. Morgan's voice broke the silence on Hale's bridge. "They'll see us now for what we are." Hale nodded. His eyes never left the alien fleet. Good. It's time the galaxy learned. The alien warships held their position, but hesitation rippled through their formation. They had been trained to face rebellion, to crush small uprisings. They had not been trained to face a species that stood unbroken, a fleet that appeared from the shadows like a storm waiting for the perfect strike. For the first time in living memory, the Galactic Empire hesitated, and humanity, smiling through the darkness, revealed its hidden strength. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The turning point, the void between the two fleets burned with silence. On one side, the alien armada glowed with ancient power, vessels forged by a civilization that had ruled for 1,000 years. On the other side, the human fleet stretched like a rising storm, ships of iron and fire stepping out of the shadows of the nebula. For a moment, the galaxy itself seemed frozen. On the alien command deck, the commander stood rigid, his hands trembling at his side. He had expected fear, panic, surrender. What he saw instead was a fleet that should not exist. Humanity was young by galactic standards, a world that had only recently taken to the stars. How could they have built this? How could they stand so calmly, their laughter echoing even now? The overseers on the great station argued in frantic whispers. Some demanded immediate attack. Others urged caution. A voice of warning rose above them all. This is not a weak species. We are looking at something new. Something dangerous, but arrogance dies slowly. One overseer slammed his hand on the table, his crown of light flickering with anger. They are still outnumbered. They are still children compared to us. The Empire does not retreat. The order was given. Alien warships shifted formation, their weapons charging like suns ready to erupt. A storm of destruction built in the silence. On the bridge of the human flagship, Captain Hale watched without blinking. Around him, his crew moved with steady hands. Pilots reported readiness, weapons officers locked targets, engineers braced reactors. They had prepared for this moment. They had been waiting for it since the first laugh broke through the Empire's arrogance. Commander Ruiz leaned close to Hale. "They'll fire soon." Hale's eyes narrowed. "Then let them." The first strike came like lightning. A beam of energy tore across the void, ripping toward the human fleet. Alarms rang, but the humans did not flinch. Their shields held, absorbing the brunt of the strike. "Status?" Hale asked calmly. "Shields at 70%. "Holding steady," an officer replied. The crew exchanged smiles. The mighty Empire had struck and humanity still stood. Hale gave a single nod. "Fire!" The human fleet answered with fury. Missiles streaked through the dark. Lasers cut like knives. Railguns hurled molten metal at impossible speed. The first alien ship erupted in flame, its hull breaking apart into fragments of light. The humans cheered, not because they loved war, but because they had proven what the Empire thought impossible. On the alien command deck, panic rippled. Officers shouted, alarms blared. "They are not falling," one cried. "They are fighting us like equals." The commander slammed his fist against the console. Impossible. No world rises this fast. But even as he spoke, another alien vessel broke apart, consumed by human fire. Back on the station, the overseers watched in silence. For centuries, they had believed in the eternal power of the Empire. Now, for the first time, cracks appeared. The humans were not kneeling. They were not begging. They were standing, fighting, and laughing as they did. On Hale's bridge, the sound of laughter rose again. Officers grinned as enemy fire shook their hulls but failed to break them. Pilots made jokes over comms as they dodged alien fighters. Even under fire, humanity found humor. Dr. Morgan leaned back from her console, her eyes wide with awe. "Captain, do you see it? They're confused. They don't understand how we fight." Hale's voice was calm, but there was pride beneath it. "Because they've never fought humans. Every world they conquered, every species they broke, gave them obedience. We give them defiance. We give them laughter." The battle grew fierce. Alien warships pressed hard, their weapons blazing like suns. But the humans held their ground, answering strike for strike. For every human ship lost, an alien cruiser burned. For every attempt at intimidation, humanity answered with jokes, with stubborn courage, with fire. The alien commander shouted over the chaos. Why do they not yield? Why do they not fear us? And the answer came not from Hale, not from Ruiz, but from the crew themselves. Over open comms, voices rang out, human voices filled with defiance. We don't kneel. We don't break. We laugh in the face of death. The words carried across the battlefield. The aliens heard them, and for the first time, fear grew in their hearts. The overseers on the station fell silent. They had seen rebellions before, but never this. They had seen bravery, but never a species that laughed while outnumbered. And deep within their arrogance, a seed of dread took root. Hale stood tall on his bridge, the light of battle flashing across his face. He knew the war was not won. He knew humanity's fleet was still small compared to the vast strength of the Empire. But that was not the point. The point was simple. Humanity had shown the galaxy something new. They would not be ruled. They would not be broken. And when the Empire demanded fear, humanity gave them laughter. The turning point had come, not because of weapons, not because of numbers, but because of spirit. The Empire had built its rule on fear. Humanity had torn that foundation apart with defiance and humor. The battle raged on, but the galaxy had already changed. Every overseer, every commander, every alien who witnessed that day would remember it. The day the humans stumbled into the Empire, the day they laughed in its face, the day. The galaxy learned that the youngest race of the stars was also the most dangerous.